Yo, what's poppin' guys, Sizzyl here, and today I'm gonna be telling you all the results of me playing over 500 hours of Overwatch 2 ranked to showcase just how stupid the system is, and why your Overwatch 2 rank and everyone else's unranked to GMs and all that don't actually signify anything about your skill level. Before I go over the rigorous testing I did to prove just how stupid this system was, I want to go over what kind of tipped me off that something was wrong in the first place. So I actually played Overwatch 1 from about 2016 until I think around 2021, when double shields had been meta for like a year, and I just got really bored of the game. I was like, I guess I've done everything there is to do in Overwatch, which wasn't true, but it kind of felt like it at the time. And I had also hit a long-time goal of mine. I hit the diamond rank that I'd always wanted to hit. So I just quit the game and kind of never looked back and had no plans of ever returning to Overwatch. Even on the launch of Overwatch 2, I still had zero interest in playing the game. However, that wasn't true for all my friends that I'd played Overwatch 1 with. A lot of them got into Overwatch 2 back when it released and basically spammed me like every day with pings, asking if I would hop on and play some games with them like we used to. And after about 2 weeks, I decided to finally cave in and at least give it a shot to see if it could reignite my love that I used to have for the game. And obviously, since I'd played the game before, I wanted to kind of see how my skills held up, so I decided to hop into comp right away and kind of test where I was at. And according to the game, I think I placed silver in all roles after placements. Now, I didn't think this was an accurate assessment of my skills, but I hadn't played for a few years, so they didn't really have anything to go off of, and I'd seen that a week or so prior, every single new player had gotten placed Bronze 5, so I figured they'd accidentally messed up the ranking system at the start, and that it would kind of readjust itself, and I'd eventually be around, Plat. I actually ended up having a lot of fun with Overwatch 2, because even though it was a slightly weirder and different game, it still had a lot of the original qualities that made Overwatch 1 so fun for me. So I grinded a lot of Season 1, and managed to raise all my ranks to the point that I got Masters in Tank, Masters in DPS, I finished top 500 in Open Queue, and I think I got my support to like Plat, because I didn't really care to play that role at the time, and I pretty much only played Moira whenever I played that role, so I didn't actually get too much value, or really know what I was doing, and as such, I obviously didn't rank it up too much. With all that being said, I'd played so much Overwatch that I kind of felt like I deserved the rank I got. Right, I wasn't like Masters 1 or something super high, I was Masters 5, and looking back at it right now, I had 515 games won that season across Open Queue and Role Queue combined. Which, for those of you who don't know, is a hell of a lot of Overwatch. It's like, like around the hours, it's about 70 or 80 hours in one season of Overwatch, which is quite a lot of playtime, and I felt like I learned a lot and put in a lot of time even outside of playing the game to get better, so it kind of made sense to me that I was around that Masters 5 level. Then when Season 2 rolled around, I decided, well, I got the other 2 roles to Masters, let me get support to Masters, and that's exactly what I did. I'd always played a bunch of Lucio Surf while waiting to queue into a game and all that, so I figured I'd go do it with Lucio and have fun with it, playing a bit of kind of a Reddit Lucio playstyle, and it worked. I had an absolute blast climbing up from Plat to Masters, and I did it all while playing an overly aggressive Lucio that, isn't the best way to play the game, but it sure as hell worked, and I'd gotten Masters all roles, which I felt I had achieved. I put in a bunch of hours, I put in a bunch of time, and it all felt right. Like, it felt like I'd put in the time and had the skills to kind of back up my rank at that point. Then something really weird happened. In Overwatch Season 3, all of a sudden, everyone around me, including myself, just kind of rose a bunch in rank. While it had taken me hundreds of games to get from Diamond to Masters on a skill level on all the roles, it took me I think about 30 wins to go from Masters to Grandmaster on Tank when played in Season 3 specifically. And I kind of realized everyone around me had a similar experience. And despite having won all my games to get to Grandmaster, and the game itself telling me that I was a Grandmaster player, being in the top 1% of players, I just didn't feel like I had really earned that right. I didn't think I'd put in the time, I didn't think I had the skills, and I didn't think I understood the game well enough, which honestly at this point, I still don't necessarily believe. However, I figured I'd just gotten lucky and I'd queued into a few mismatched games and happened to get just good teammates and gotten to GM by pure chance, and that the next season that it would go away. That was until the next season started and I stayed at Grandmasters 5 with a overall 54% win rate on Ryan, which isn't that amazing, but basically meant I went around 50-50 since I dropped out of Grandmaster a little bit toward the end of Season 3, and that just didn't feel right to me. I didn't feel like I deserved to be a Grandmaster player. The games I was playing in didn't look anything close to what the big streamers were playing in, and the big nail in the coffin is that a bunch of videos started popping up of people doing unranked to GMs out of placements, where they literally went like 5-0 in placements and would place Grandmaster 1, the highest rank in all of Overwatch. At this point, I knew something was up, but I didn't really have a lot of time or resources to kind of investigate it and figure it out on my own. So what I ended up doing is using a friend's account who hadn't played competitive and doing the placements on it. And after going completely undefeated in my placement games, going 5-0, I placed Masters 5, which actually seemed pretty reasonable. So I was like, okay, I guess, yeah, maybe they just have a really good system set up for Smurf accounts now where they can identify your level, because at that point I was still pretty confident that I was a Masters 5 tank. Then another uneventful Season 5 went by, where I just kind of maintained my ranks, kept playing the game, and nothing special really happened. But in Season 6, I decided, you know, I've played enough Reinhardt at this point, let me make a Smurf account to go play Winston on and learn the character and kind of see if I can make my way to GM using a different tank. Because since I haven't told you guys at this point, I played only Reinhardt every single season on tank except Season 1 where I was still playing Roadhog, because that was the character I used in Overwatch 1. But over time I was just playing more and more and more Reinhardt, to the point that in Seasons 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I was literally playing only Reinhardt whenever I was queued tank. Now the Winston account was kind of interesting, because I had a bit of a theory going on in my head before I started playing on it, that theoretically playing on a new account where the quick play games were based off of your skill level should place you around your skill. And as such, I figured I'd get placed around Masters 3 or so. And as the games went on, as I was doing the quick play games to try and get 50 quick play wins to unlock competitive on the Winston only account, I ended up going 50-22, which, considering that around the first 20 games were up against bronze players, meant that I had around a 50-50 win rate on the account against people who actually played the game for more than, like, you know, an hour a year. Which is pretty bad, all things considered. A 50% win rate shouldn't really get you higher than maybe Plat or Diamond, I felt. However, something I failed to mention is that in the later part of those quick play games, I was up against people that were in top 500 and GM1 just across the board. Like, my teammates and the enemies were all that same rank. So the quick play games were extremely difficult, and then when I went to go play competitive, I almost just got jump scared, because for every single placement game, I was in a high Masters low GM lobby, which was way different than the Masters 5 that I had experienced before, because what happened there is I'd played in Diamond games and went 5-0 and then, you know, placed Masters 5, and I just figured like that's where they figured I was at. And then by some miracle, doing those placement games on Winston only, I ended up going 5-1 and placed a Masters 1 28%, which I don't think I deserved on Winston. I don't think my Winston skills were anywhere close to the skills I'd gotten on Reinhardt. I didn't feel like I'd outplayed the enemy tank super hard. I didn't feel like, because I did good in 6 games, that I decided to get placed right under where my all-time peak was around GM4. So what I decided to do is make another Smurf account where instead of playing a character I didn't play in quick play, I would play my main all the way through all the quick play games and then see where I would get placed then. This account had the added removal of the restriction of not playing with friends. I played with a bunch of my friends, a lot of them had alt accounts, they hopped on those accounts to kind of bring the MMR of the lobby down as well, and basically all of the quick play games were never played at a level of above, I think, Diamond 2. So the point being that I'd never played against any Masters or GM players the entire time for all the games of quick play, and I had an absurdly good record of 50-7 for my quick play games for the 50 wins that you need to get. And I figured like maybe that'll have an impact on things. I'd also played obviously Reinhardt the most of any character on that account, along with other playtime on other tanks like Winston and Roadhog, because I was just having fun on the characters I had fun with. Despite the fact that I had such a good quick play record, I figured that it would start me off at maybe around Masters for my first placement game, because I hadn't faced anyone higher than a Diamond player on the way to get to competitive. However, I was dead wrong. My first ever competitive game on this account, the first ever, of a player who was around Grandmaster 5 at all times on his main account, was a GM4 game, which meant that my fresh account that I had just played the quick play games on was now ranking higher in its first ever game than I had ever been on my main account, which obviously was super weird. What was even weirder is when I won that first game, because the matchmaking was actually surprisingly easy, and then in my second ever game, I was matched into Car Q on Havana, basically being in the top 100 players. And since I wasn't at that level, and I definitely don't have the skills to play in those types of games, I got absolutely destroyed. However, I was in a GM1, top 100 player lobby. It wasn't just GM1, it was in the top 100 players at that moment. I was so shocked to be there that I decided to go tell CarQ that this was my second ever game. I hopped in his Twitch chat, and this is kind of what he had to say about it.
I don't know how Clyde does this shit, but I have to go in here.
Okay, their tank kind of
Just
went
dead before I can even shatter.
That's pretty rough.
Stay in the circle.
That's
Play of the game.
I'm so upset with each other.
He said that is my second comp game ever.
That's
Let's
one.
hit the record.
That's two.
Wait,
I
how?
warned you. On a roll.
It's a fresh
Days like
account,
this never
maybe.
get old.
1-1.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't know how they got into a GM game. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's kind of wild. I am that Ryan. I'm testing the ranking system. I'm surprised you got. So that's an alt account. Your GM5 on your main. But then, yeah, you ended up in this lobby. That was a GM1 lobby, by the way. Snow's like top rank 20. I'm pretty sure today's, But I see recent players.
Yeah.
Yeah, Snow's, today is, I've seen him in ranked since forever. I don't know what everybody else was, but yeah. This is your new account. So you're GM5, and this is your second comp game, and it puts you in GM1. A GM1 game. But I guess the data... that's a little bizarre. My mama had to see me. Interesting. I only played diamonds in quick play outside of 2 games. That's fucking wild how you got into that lobby. GG's. NT. If it's a fresh account, I should not consider it, no. I'm really not sure what the new algorithm does. I know it's supposed to be a little bit stronger to try to detect if you're smurfing, and it's supposed to like that part I know, but I'm just... Yeah. It's very sharp early on, evidently.
And from here, the next game went pretty normal, or as your average, just kind of decent-ish matchmaking game. And in the 4th game, I ended up with Frogger on my team, and he absolutely carried me. And basically from there, all the rest of the games were normal, with normal people as far as I know. I don't think there was any other streamers in any of those games or anything crazy like that. But in the second ever game of competitive on my account, I had CarQ in my lobby. And in the 4th ever game on my new account, I had Frogger in my lobby.
The GG's Frogman.
GG!
I love Froggy, man. The fucking personality of all time. He actually popped though. Holy shit. Like, I've never seen Lucio play to that degree. To be fair, he's like one of the best, if not the best Lucios out there. So it's just another W.
And these were people I'd never seen playing ladder, despite being a GM5 tank, which if you didn't know is actually high enough to match into these lobbies sometimes. Like I've matched into a guy named Newish, who's been rank 1 like 2 or 3 times already in Overwatch on DPS. I've had him on my team like twice throughout the rest of Overwatch up until Season 8 as of me recording this, despite being GM5. So it's not like these matchups were impossible, but the fact that the average lobby ranking was GM1 for that game, and that I had Karq and then Frogger in games kind of almost back to back, had me a bit curious. And by the end of it all, I had a near 50-50 win rate. I ended up going 5-4. And could you guess what this account that I just made and played on myself placed at? Yeah, that's right. Grandmaster 3. The highest ever rank I'd ever achieved was not by grinding hundreds and hundreds of games on my main account. It was by making a fresh account and finishing placements. Now from here, I was kind of curious. I was like, am I just gonna get Grandmaster all roles if I play this out? And I thought that's what would happen. But when I hopped onto support and I was going to do Ana only, I also ended up going 5-4. However, there was no streamers in my lobbies and the averages were a bit lower, and as such, I ended up placing Masters 5 with Ana. Despite having the exact same win-loss ratio, I just was put into lower lobbies and placed lower almost arbitrarily. Now, I'm not saying that I deserve to be GM on Ana, but I am saying I don't think I deserve GM3 on tank playing only Reinhardt the way I played in those games. And by the way, for those curious, every single thing I've talked about up to this point, I have the full recorded footage of. It'll be linked in the description. I have the unranked to GM and unranked to Masters, full VODs as videos on my second channel, and I have some montages of the early season 1 and 2 climbs that you can watch as well if you want to do that. And from here, there was kind of only one thing left to test. I proved to myself, but on 2 separate accounts, that by making a new account, you will just place extremely high for no good reason, even though back in Overwatch 1, the highest you could place overall was Masters 1-ish, if you were really good and ended up going 5-0 and stuff like that the whole way through. You would still then, even if you were the rank 1 player, solo carried all your games, the game would not place you higher than 3,900, which is the bottom of Masters 1 in Overwatch 2. In Overwatch 2, on the other hand, you could place anywhere, right? There was people literally placing into rank 1, finishing their 25 wins, which is what you need at the time, and being the rank 1 player just for having made a new account. So now the only thing left to test was, how was the climbing experience? If I had an account that was already ranked and ranked extremely lowly, how would that account perform given that I'm playing on it and the game has decided that I make Grandmasters 3 Reinhardt one trick? And honestly, before going into it, I expected this to be pretty similar. I expected that maybe I'd have to win a bit more games starting from a lower rank, but that at the end of the day, that it would take maybe like, 30 or 40 games to go get to GM because of the win streak bonus I would have. If only I knew how long this would actually end up taking. So all the way back in Season 6, I made another account. I got super hammered, super drunk. I played, I think, with my feet while watching YouTube videos and stuff. I basically did everything to make sure I was as distracted and non-functional as possible. And after both finishing placements and losing a shit ton of games, I managed to get my tank down to Bronze 4. And at that point, I'd played so much, I got super tired and just went to bed, kind of called it night. And then the next day, I decided to get up and get started doing a Bronze to GM with Reinhardt only. This series was, believe it or not, extremely easy because I am not a bronze player, and as such I was able to win a large amount of the games extremely easily, to the point that I had a 75-13 record. And if you had to guess, where does 75-13 put you from Bronze 4? Alright, let's do some simple math, just not accounting for win streak bonus at all, because there is a win streak bonus in this game, and there kind of always has been. Right, in both Overwatch 1 and even in Overwatch 2's launch season, there was a clear win streak bonus. If you were winning a bunch of games in a row without many losses, you get a bit more rank up every single time because the game knows you're smurfing, right? It's good smurf prevention. And with a 5-0 generally being about 2 ranks, give or take, right? 2 rank ups, maybe let's say like 1.5. I'm going to go back to 2 and just use that number for now. And with 75 divided by 5 being 15, you would think, okay, he gets 30 ranks. And since I did have 13 losses, that'd be like losing 4 of those 30 ranks. But because of the win streak bonus, I should be at about maybe 30 rank ups at this point. Which would actually mean that I would actually be either right at GM5 or right below it. I would be a GM player having went 75 and 13, and in Overwatch 1 you would need even less than that. There was a bunch of people that did bronze to GMs that went like 50 and like 4, and then they were Grandmaster in Overwatch 1, so at this point I'm Grandmaster, right? Well, that's where you'd be incredibly wrong. Somehow, while going 75 and 13, at that point I was Platinum 1, which is half of the rank that I'm supposed to have at that point. Now at this point, you're probably wondering how much longer did it then take you to finish the series? What was your end record? And just because this is going to go live before the rest of the series of me doing Bronze to GM and Reinhardt goes live, I want to give a spoiler warning to the people still watching that series. I had to make this video early because Season 9 is going to hopefully redo and fix the ranking system. Now with that out of the way, my final record for Bronze to GM was 182 wins and 81 losses, which meant that my overall net wins were 101 wins, which is double what you needed in Overwatch 1 to climb. Double. And this was my live reaction to getting that, because that took 3 seasons. That was season 6, 7, and 8 of me grinding this Bronze to GM Ryan series. Anyway, 5 and 3, moment of truth. Woo! Let's fucking go, dude. Holy shit. 101 net positive wins. That's what it took. And yeah, I mean, overall, I had proven that the best way to climb, by far, just in terms of any metric, is just to make a fresh account. Fresh accounts place way higher if you have any clue how the game works, and you'll just rank way higher than you ever deserved, right? I don't know if my Winston was at Masters 1 at the point it placed Masters 1. I know my Reinhardt's not at Grandmasters 3 level because on my main account, I've been Grandmasters 5 every fucking season. Yet somehow, fresh account, I'm a Grandmaster 3 Rhine player in Kharkiv and Frogger lobbies and performing okay-ish in those games. And yeah, I mean, that's that's really all the story there is to tell. That's all the testing that I did. Right? You might think like, oh, well, he's gonna go over the numbers now or whatever, but I kind of ran you through the numbers. And what did I learn from this? Like I said earlier, all I learned is make a Smurf account and you will rank high. If you try to climb normally, you need to be way better than the people around you because you're not going to go up in rank. That's proven by my main account not going up in rank. The Smurf account I made that only had placed that season, right? I think I had like 30 losses going from unranked to bronze 4 or something like that. I was like 1 in 30. And it took 182 wins to make my way to Grandmaster, having the skills of a Grandmaster and dominating a lot of those lower ranked lobbies. It's kind of like the game wanted me to Smurf. They did not want me to get out of bronze. They did not want me to get out of silver, gold, or plat. They wanted me to stay in these low elo lobbies because there's no tank players, I guess, even there. Which was just crazy to me, seeing how little you ranked up. Right? Whenever people were telling me they were hard stuck silver, hard stuck gold, hard stuck bronze, whatever, I was like, how? Like, those games are so easy. And the games are really easy. I mean, I kind of showed off that by having a 75 and 13 record. I know I'm a higher skill player, put way too much time in this game, but point being, the games were easy and I still couldn't rank up. And that was an account that had just placed into bronze. Now imagine if you have an account that's like 5 or 6 seasons has been in bronze. Do you think the game would rank that up anymore? I just don't think so. I think people are actually stuck in these ranks that maybe deserve to be a rank or 2 higher, but because they seemingly removed the win streak bonus and kind of any gain at all, like there's no way for them to get out. And that's just crazy to me. I mean, I don't even think I have to say anything more other than the rank system is clearly incredibly stupid, and that if you just want to climb in rank and that's your only goal, you don't actually have to get better at the game. All you have to do is make yourself a fresh account. And with that being said, I mean, that's all there really is to say. That's why I've been ranting so long about how stupid the rank system is. I've made many rant videos about it, but never really went in depth or explained what I was talking about now because I was in the process of doing it. But as of like 2 days ago, when I'm recording this audio, I did do it. I made my way from bronze to GM. I did my unranked to GM. I almost finished an unranked to GM on a character I'd never played before. I did an unranked to masters on characters I didn't play by just making a fresh account. And overall, I think I've kind of proven that the system is dumb, and especially, if nothing else, that unranked to GMs mean nothing now. Because if you just get placed in GM off of your quick play games, I don't really know if you deserved it. Right, that Winston account actually started Masters 1, and then I went from 5-1 to 12-12. I just lost a bunch of games from that point. But even then, I'd almost placed GM. I think if I'd went 5-0 instead of 5-1, that Winston account would have placed GM 5, and I could have finished the series and said I'm a GM Winston player, even though every game from after placements was losses. And I went down to Masters 2, and I was on my way down to like Masters 3. I probably would have held Masters 3. I do think I'm a decent Winston. But yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say. Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, every single one of these videos, every single episode of the Bronze to Grandmaster, you know, all the unranked to GM, unranked to Master, and the montages of my main account climbing are all available in public videos, linked in the description. And, you know, let me know any experience you've had with the system in the comments. With that being said, hopefully this gets fixed in Season 9 with the ranked overhaul and the rank reset. I'm really hoping it does because it's really stupid the way it works right now and it ruins the competitive integrity of the game. And with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed watching this video and have a great rest of your day.